Classy dance moves are perfect for Halloween festivities with spooky steps like Jacko-prancin', Jacko-dancin', Smilin' and Stabby, a variation on the Happy Murderer, Vampire with the runs, Mummy with the runs, Guy turning into werewolf while he has the runs, Boston Baked Beans, the Razor Blade Apple. They've only got Cliff Bars, the porch lights weren't on, the full-size nut log, the fun-size nut log, apple bobbin', snapple dabbin', carpal tunnelin', schlarpin' christenin'. My apologies, I just had dental work and my tongue is numb.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. I'm Jay Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one, Matopsha Hot Boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey,
yo. And over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. And guys, we had another wedgie. Can you believe it? Our fourth wedgie of the season. And this one was a weird one. Jamal Murray coming underneath with this wedgie as he was trying to avoid the defense there. But yeah, 4 wedgies. Look at the pace test. We've never had a pace that high. We're on pace for 75 wedgies.
I can't believe it. It's wedgietracker.com. Have you ever seen something like this?
We're going to break the site with all these wedgies.
And very special wedgies. You said Jamal Murray way under the hoop.
Yeah.
You never see that. The Isaiah Jackson coming up way under the restricted area for a block shot. That's far. Measure it. That has never been done.
Ooh, wedge score.
Yeah, do it.
Wedge score.
Yeah, I said that yesterday.
How deep is it in there? How far away does the defender jump? Which panels of the ball are wedged? It's got to go up to 130 though.
Oh, better
0 to
than the dunk
130, a
score?
little further. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the panel on that Jamal Murray ball? It was all scuffed.
Oh, they scuffed the ball?
You don't see it very often, a scuffed ball.
Retire it.
Yeah, I didn't see it until I got the close-up here of the monitor here. I'd looked at it multiple times, but didn't see that scuff until right now. It's a scuffer. I guess JJ Redick will like that ball.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Keep the wedgies coming. Everybody sees one. Let us know, obviously, on Twitter or Instagram. Okay, we had 4 games on last night. We can touch on all of them. Then we got a little bit of news. Pretty light night, though, in the association. But we start with the Mavericks fending off the Wolves. 120-114, Western Conference Finals matchup. Luka couldn't hit a 3 all night, and then he hits the one. That's the dagger and lets the crowd know. And it's like deja vu all over again from the conference finals. But the Mavs get the victory here over the Wolves.
Start the Luka MVP campaign now, and which is weird because he ain't shooting all that well.
No.
He's not even close to himself. Was it not playing in the preseason? Maybe. But the fact is, the play you're going to remember from this game, taking Rudy out 32 feet from the hoop, and it was an extremely long one. And he did it to him. And he had an opportunity a few minutes before that to do it against Rudy. He missed. He missed his first 7 threes. Still, under a minute left, he said, I'm taking Rudy out there. I'm doing it.
Well, last night,
It was McDaniels.
that was Nikola Alexander-Walker,
yeah,
guys.
nine.
Rudy
Nine,
was
yeah.
obviously in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Right.
The
yeah.
massive 3.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he could do it against anybody out there.
Yes, that is true.
Obviously.
Good cover.
Yeah. Hold on. The 51 at 55 seconds, 32-footer one was not Rudy?
No, the one
Nikola
last night was
Alexander.
Nikola Alexander-Walker.
Nikola,
for sure.
because he did it, Nikola Alexander fell. He did it against Rudy. The last 3 shots of the 3 minutes were all against both of those guys. Hey, we recovered. It was a scuffed ball. It was a scuffed take. And he's able to do whatever the heck he wants out there. Yeah, again, his percentages are bad. I'm not even going to talk about those. And he thanked Kyrie for being doubled on that play where he was able to go one-on-one with apparently Nikola Alexander-Walker and take him out. So those are the plays that you're going to remember to be able to do that. He did have 11 points in the fourth quarter, so he did turn it on a little bit. He was going to getting offensive boards in the last couple minutes. That didn't look like Luka, but he's got this team now that is playing like they were in the Western Conference Finals. They try hard the entire game. That team has it's transitioned to this season. Really, it has. Daniel Gafford was out hustling guys, going end to end before other guys in this game. You saw PJ Washington taking Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter and defending him extremely well. Derek Lively handling Julius Randle over and over and over again. There's multiple possessions where he didn't need a double. These guys are just trying. It is a different team. I didn't expect it to be a different team. So when I said Luka might win the MVP, but this Mavs team may not even win 50 games, I mean, I don't think they're going to be a high 50-win team still. It might be a low 50-win team. They'll still be an air quotes, over team. And I think you can start that Luka talk. Even though the numbers are not good, Luka will come back to earth and score 30 a game. I mean, right now it's 26 and bad percentages, but the guy is confident. The team is confident.
Yeah, it was a strange game because had Anthony Edwards going off in the first quarter, 24 points of his 37. Then it was the Kyrie takeover in the third quarter. And then it was Luka sort of bringing them home at the end. His best quarter of this game with, what'd you say, 11 is what he had in the fourth?
Yeah, he did.
But he hit in the timely shots. I mean, every time the Wolves got close or it was a one-possession game, it was a big basket, usually orchestrated by Luka, but Kyrie coming through too. And these guys, they just sort of have the Wolves
They feel
number.
too comfortable against this team. 35 for Kyrie, 24 for Luka. And it's basically either Gobert or Randall in a drop, or they switch, and good luck, literally, with either of those guys. Kyrie in the fourth quarter, I think he had 3 or 4 baskets literally on Julius Randle. So many of the actions that Dallas was scoring out of was a pick and roll started with Conley having to guard. This guy is looking pretty old to start the season, and then either Gobert or Randall is there. They tried Randall at the 5, did not work at all. I didn't think. Dallas also had 5 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. Couldn't really do the math perfectly well. They got 10 or 11 second chance points off that. I was a little confused by the play-by-play data. Nonetheless, you're the bigger team. Yeah. You should be out rebounding Dallas. I also thought Minnesota was really bad in transition defense. Like Tass mentioned, 20-10 in fast break points advantage for Dallas. They had multiple where there was nobody on the other side of the court. Like Luka had one where he had like a calf problem or something like that. Shot a men's league layup, didn't even jump. Kyrie Irving had another one, but there was nobody around him as well. Minnesota also had 20 turnovers, turned into 25 Dallas points. It was kind of like Ant had a huge first quarter, and then he's like, I did my part. You guys take us on home. And they didn't do enough.
Yeah, I don't know if he was injured because Edwards had an ankle injury the entire game, it seemed like. He went down to that right ankle multiple times, retying it. He was hitting the groin as well. Call it the gah because it was a groin. And twice he hurt his ankle in this game. And you can say gah after watching that first quarter. I mean, that was phenomenal taking it into the second quarter. So I don't know if he just slowed down because of those injuries. But the other guys didn't help him out. Jaden McDaniels has not been himself this season quite yet. Julius Randle was getting beat down the floor, as we said, and he'll get a block one of these days. He'll get his first block of the season one day, but he's just allowing guys, dropped hands to let guys score around the rim. So that was a worry coming into the season without Cat. Are you still going to be able to defend the same way? And at times they don't. And yes, the Mavs, they out-hustled them. They truly did. And it may have helped them to get down and see Julius Randle have that 18-point first quarter. 24-point first quarter, 6 threes, made it 18, but 24 overall. And then they just turned it on. They look like that happy team that made it to the finals. That is carried over. They're in such a groove.
Mike Conley is off to a rough start for the Wolves this season too. I know they're sort of reducing his minutes, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, did play well. He got more minutes than Conley, but he is just he's just usually the steady hand that he was last year, and they love him. And it makes sense. He is a great vet, but he's just, I feel like we've barely talked about him. He hasn't contributed a whole lot. And the new pieces too. Randall has his big scoring games, but like you guys said, defensive liabilities. And Dante DiVincenzo, we haven't talked about it a lot either. He struggled in this one, couldn't really hit a 3. So I guess that's what I'm getting at. Sort of with the Knicks too. These are brand new teams, big pieces that they're trying to implement here, and shouldn't be a surprise that they look good on some nights and bad on others, or even in the same game, and that they're struggling. Both these teams, the Knicks and the Wolves, after the big trade, they're struggling compared to what they were last year, at least.
Yeah. It's just the hustle stats, even though there aren't no stats. I guess there are hustle stats technically, but just
reflections.
Being outrun, that happened last night.
Big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
They just wanted to get down there faster. It was weird seeing Dante DiVincenzo off the bench, just running over and over with Rudy Gobert. These pin downs where he'd come around and set it up for Rudy. It's different than New York Knicks, Dante DiVincenzo, where he's just hanging out in the three-point line and can make everything happen. Now, some of those plays were good with him and Rudy Gobert. Yeah, but the bench isn't clicking. I thought Nickeil Alexander-Walker's minutes would be taken by Rob Dillingham, just because Dillingham's a great offensive player. But Nickeil Alexander was awesome offensively yesterday. So, I don't know. They aren't quite right. That is for sure. And Conley isn't either. Yeah, but it's the Hostile thing. I mean, are you ready to run? Literally beaten down the floor too many times in this one.
Let's move to the Warriors using their depth, because they were short Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, D'Anthony Melton didn't play, and they rally to beat the Pelicans pretty handedly. 124-106. There's a team struggling as well to start this season, the Pelicans. But the Warriors looked really good. Kuminga went to the bench, Trey. So Kerr changed the lineup, and they got down huge.
They had 14 points after the first quarter.
Yeah, and then
the Warriors scored
back.
110 in the last 3 quarters of this game. I thought terrible loss for the Pelicans, and it basically came down to 3-point shooting. The Warriors made a ton of threes. They went 21 of 46. Meanwhile, New Orleans went 9 of 22 from 3. Buddy Hield hit 7 threes on his own. All of New Orleans hit 9. They're 28th or 26th right now in 3-point rate. They're 20th in makes because they're shooting a decent percentage, but only 22 attempts. They had 24 turnovers to 23 assists. That's the wrong way for the ratio.
Yeah.
They just play a tough style of basketball right now with no DeJounte Murray to be the point guard out there. You got Zion and Ingram. Both had really good games. They went 12 of 36 from the field. That can't be right. They went 24 of 36 from the field. The rest of the team went 16 of 38. But every single shot that Zion's making, that Brandon Ingram is making, it's an impossible 2. Like, they're taking some tough 2-pointers. It's the year 2024. We're trying to hit 3-pointers out here. So the Warriors came out. They said, we're missing 3 starters, basically. Yeah. We're just going to bomb away and shoot threes. It was Lindy Waters was kind of the best guy out there. 34 assists for the Warriors to 8 turnovers. New Orleans just didn't play any defense. They looked at the team they saw and said, we got this one. And they didn't have this one because they're not that good, right? Like, New Orleans is going to be in the middle in the Western Conference, just like the Warriors are. But the Warriors came in, they knew the style they needed to play, and what the Pelicans were doing just didn't make sense.
Yeah. Lindy Waters the third, 21 points, 9 boards for him. It looked amazing. And maybe Kerr has unlocked another guy here that's going to fit into this rotation, but they were short a lot of guys, and I like the switch up. And Buddy Hield started very slow, and then he caught fire. I mean, that guy, when he catches fire, it's like, oh my God, it's lights out. It feels like every shot's going in. He's just one of those players that's like, when he's bad, and he can't hit a shot to save his life, and then he has the stretches where he can't miss.
Oh, buddy. The Warriors trust him, obviously. Keep shooting that thing, especially with all the injuries had. To see Lindy Waters, who's the 13th man in their rotation, really come in and play extremely hard defense. And that transitioned, I think, for the Warriors in this game. Their defense played hard, and it transitioned to good offense. And Lindy Waters was, great dunk. And then Buddy was, again, cold in the first half. Just made 1 3, but was 6 of 6 in the second half. Got scorching hot, and the Golden State Arena there, Chase Center was bumping for him, and so that was fun. But you don't have Curry, Wiggins, or Melton. The Pelicans should win, and as you said, the math ain't working in the modern day NBA. Say the Celtics ruined offense or whatever, just shoot more threes. That's all you have. You can still shoot 2s, but shoot more threes. Willie Green, before the season, he said our Pelicans team should try and shoot 40 threes a game, and they barely shot half of that in this game, and so that wasn't even close. A guy like I've mentioned, Jordan Hawkins, guy off the bench, who I think is a minor 6th man of the year candidate. If you like really good odds, don't gamble, but if you want really good odds, you put some money on him. I thought he'd come out and shoot a ton of threes in this game, especially with DeJounte Murray out. He has been, but he only had 1 3 attempt in this game. It was weird. Zion Williamson was trying to set everybody up, but it was a lot of one-on-one play for him and Ingram. And that's why they got spanked pretty badly. Yeah,
it is weird to see, like, they were up 31-14, and then they get hammered by, 18 points in the end? That's crazy. And it was a lot of, like you guys said, man, the defense. Like, Podziemski was everywhere. Obviously, Lindy Waters. Like, they just deflections were always leading. It felt like there was, 3 Gary Payton II fast break dunks in this game because of all the turnovers they were creating, getting easy buckets that way. And then you pair that with Buddy Hield catching fire, and that's how they win by a lot.
It was a quiet night in the NBA because one of their Instagram stories, was Gary Payton II just trying to jump as high as he could in pregame, and he almost hit his head on the backboard. So I laughed at that it was a quiet night. When you mentioned Gary Payton II, he can play defense, but
how high can he jump?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing, huh?
Slow, nice. That's all it was.
So they'll play again tonight, these two teams, because they got the old little baseball series. Yeah. So again, we'll run it back, and I think there will be a lot of panic here when it comes to the Pelicans if, they put up this type of performance again and fall to, below 500. I guess they are 2-2 right now. It feels sort of worse for some reason.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just hasn't looked great. Let's go to another team just scraping by, but they got the victory. Jokic post, get this line, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists. to lead Denver past the Brooklyn Nets 144-139 in overtime again. Back-to-back situation. They had to go to overtime in Toronto. They pull it out, and they do it in Brooklyn, and they're back, baby. They're to 2-2. I mean, they should be 0-4. If the Raptors hit some free throws down the stretch, they lose that game.
Yep.
And Dorian Finney-Smith, he missed a free throw that would have made it a 3-point lead. Instead, he missed one, and then they gave the ball to Jokic, and he just put his ass in the basket. DFS tied the game up. I mean,
and then DFS had a wide open look.
And then he had a wide open look. Yeah, they could very easily be 0-4, but instead Jokic has literally got them to 2-2.
That's how you tank, baby.
That's crazy. But what do you think of this game?
I have nothing other than to say these Nuggets are not serious right now. Like, if this was a Succession, Roy Logan would say, "You are not serious people." They're not. Back-to-back, sent to OT because the other team missed free throws. In the Raptors situation, it was worse. But in this one, it was one missed free throw that was pretty important.
Yeah.
And so you see back-to-backs, and you can make excuses for teams, but there's no excuse for this team playing like they did. Hey, the Mavs had a great back-to-back. They got in late. That's, you can make that excuse, and they still played harder than the Minnesota Timberwolves. But in this situation, they gave up Brooklyn. They gave up 40 points to Brooklyn in the first quarter. I mean, you could see the plays happen that were just bad. You get a drop off underneath the rim where Dorian Finney-Smith was wide open. Jokic didn't really want to block his shot. He scored, and then they pull it out, and he just inbounded to Jamal Murray, who wasn't coming at the ball. So they just gave up another 3-pointer shot. It was a 5-point possession there. And Zaire Williams looked awesome. He was cutting along the baseline. Nobody even looked at the guy. And so they played about poorly. 72 first half points for the Brooklyn Nets. And then it came down to the fourth quarter and the beginning of the third quarter, the Nuggets turned it up just enough to get them by. But I can't take it seriously. I just can't take it. It's difficult to do that. Especially when I think their starting five lost some minutes, but really their starting five has been extremely solid. It's just their bench has been very bad, and Christian Braun is starting to hit threes. He hit 2 threes in this game, the most of his season. So that change up of him going to the starting lineup for KCP is not the problem whatsoever. I know people say KCP is a 40% shooter, but the first few seasons of his career, he was not a great three-point shooter, and Christian Braun is even better three-point shooter than KCP was his first 3 seasons. So that ain't the problem. That guy's a good defender. It's just the effort. I don't know if they're really into this whole thing right here, right now. And then the bench is the non-Jokic minutes hurt.
Westbrook had his best game of the season. 22 points. He got to the line a ton. He hit his 2 threes. Gave him some life there. 5 assists as well for him in 21 minutes. But by far Westbrook's best game, and was he helped them get this victory. But it's like, we're sitting here going, okay, they got the victory. They beat the Raptors and they beat the Nets. But having to play 5 more minutes to scrape it out, it's not a good look.
Even though KCP hasn't really done anything for the Magic, I think he's like 2 for 17 from 3. This is still the biggest change they've had to their lineup since they traded for Aaron Gordon, basically, and had to figure out how to play alongside them. So they're figuring out how to win right now, and it doesn't look good at all. This was just we are on the second night of a back-to-back. Let's play it cool. The Nuggets' modus operandi the past couple of seasons has been we're turning it on in the second half, in the third and fourth quarters. So all that makes sense to me. But they're 30th in three-point rate, and that was going to be the question coming in. Do they have enough shooting? Clearly they don't. They're 20th in makes. Aaron Gordon hit a huge one in the fourth quarter. Christian Braun hit a huge one in overtime as well. But there are just so many possessions where there are 5 guys waiting in the lane. Jokic loves to be in the lane, so it just doesn't make a whole bunch of sense as a team here. Maybe they're a Zach LaVine team, honestly. They don't really have pieces to trade for him because of the contracts and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if Chicago's dying to get MPJ and Zeke Naji, but they could use a guy who's just going to gun from the outside because they don't take enough threes. Jokic is their best three-point shooter this season because he had a 7 for 12 game. He's going to have a career high in scoring, I believe, for the Nuggets to be competitive this year. But also, the guy's a great problem solver, so he's figuring out how to play with this team, and maybe over the course of the season, even if it's just all 2-pointers for the Nuggets, they become an efficient offense. Yeah,
from Statitudes, I saw that Jokic is just the 4th player in NBA history to record a 40-point game and/or a triple-double in each of his first 4 games to start a season. Wilt Chamberlain did it a few times. Oscar Robertson And then Russell Westbrook did it in 2021. Obviously, Russ now on this team with Jokic. But yeah, I mean, I was also curious, like, okay, now the Nuggets are 500. I wonder where Jokic is now on the MVP tracker, because you got to usually have the wins, of course. Suddenly he's 5th, just getting to 500 because his numbers are insane. Yeah. The stats he's putting up with the big scoring.
Are they better than his MVP seasons? I think that will be a question when people are making the MVP campaign. Obviously, the offensive numbers are better. I mean, just the raw numbers of scoring they are, because as Trey was saying, he just finds himself in a situation where, oh man, I got to take over now. And he's shooting those threes a lot more. So to be scoring 31 per game right now, yeah, you can start to say, yeah, he's better. He should win his 4th MVP of the season. It's unfortunate that he's going to have to influence his team, motivate his team to play D. They were giving up wide open threes to the Brooklyn Nets in the first half. And so that was it's a big reason why they got to go to overtime again. And they are lucky.
If he doesn't win MVP, I like his chances to win Clutch Player of the Year. Jokic, if he keeps, taking over games down the stretch and in overtime. Maybe he's got the early lead there. Were you going to say something about this game?
Yeah, at one point, Aaron Gordon threw Nikola Jokic a full court outlet pass from an inbounds. Jokic catches it. Not a beauty getting it up to the rim, but he scored. It made NBA.com's top 10 plays of the night. Bo Estes said Jokic was running a 9.940.
Good man.
It was a slow break. If you get beat deep by Jokic, you should retire.
It was weird to see Jokic leak out and beat them down the floor. You don't see that often. It's obviously the reverse where he's throwing those passes. But that made the top 10 plays of the night.
They did 10 plays on a 4-game night.
I know. Yeah, they sometimes take
literally
5.
It started with Bo saying, only 4 games in the association, but we're going the full top 10.
Oh, wow. Maybe should have made it
that kind of night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary Payton jumping didn't make it. Zaire Williams, though, he did make it. Head at the rim. How high can he jump?
Was the number one play Kuminga's little dunk on
the Luka pass?
Oh, the Luka pass.
Head. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The hook shot of Nikola Jokic shooting over a 6'7" guy and Dorian Finney-Smith could have made it. But Dorian Finney-Smith was literally he was sort of the starting center. He was out there because they had Nick Claxton coming off the bench. Again, no Ben Simmons in this one in a back-to-back situation. I looked at that and I said, okay, the Nuggets are going to win. They're going to do it. They're going to, when you start looking at those lineups.
Right.
And I guess that's what the Nuggets thought too, and that's why their effort level was low.
What's the thinking on that? Okay, DFS is on him. It's Jokic. He's going to back him down. Send somebody else. Help the guy a little bit.
It was a 2-point game. That was the only time the entire game that the Nets actually guarded the 3-point line. They were they're like, we're happy to give Jokic a 2 rather than generate a wide open 3-point look because we're getting the ball back. They got a great look.
Yeah.
As a brick.
Yeah. An easy score for Jokic over DFS, and you're right. And then he missed the corner 3. It was a good look. The final game, Sabonis scored 28 points as the Kings ran past the Jazz, 113-96. One story from this game, Lauri Markkanen, he didn't come back for the second half because of back soreness, and sort of the Kings then broke open this game. Jazz have lost their last 2 home games by a combined 58 points. Jazz are one of the few teams left. I guess it's them and the Pistons that haven't won a game yet. I think those are the only 2 teams that are still looking for their first W. But yeah, they're a bad team. They're a young team, and Kings are getting it going here. This was an easy victory.
It was, but last year Domantas Sabonis was pretty adamant that they had to play better against the bad teams because they got up for the good teams.
True.
And when they went into the offseason, he said that's what we have to get better at. And they had just a sub 500 record last year against the sub 500 teams, and so far 2-0.
Yeah,
the Blazers and Jazz. Now there aren't going to be many bad teams in the Western Conference,
right.
So they took care of them. And in the 2 losses that they had, the Wolves and the Lakers, they played close games until the fourth quarter where they didn't close it out all that well. So not a bad thing. Also, one change for Domantas Sabonis this year. Shooting more threes. They were talking about that, and he's doing it. He's 5 of 11 now from 3-point land. It's pretty solid, very solid, and hopefully he keeps that up. That makes sense with DeMar beside him, and Kevin Huerter is going to keep shooting those threes. The starting shooting guard, who I didn't expect him to be the starting shooting guard when they traded for him. Yes, but since Keon Ellis has been a great defender, I thought Kevin Huerter's going to the bench, but Kevin Huerter's. He's a solid player. He was solid in that 21 conference finals run for the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, I don't care if I'm going 4 years back. He was good back then. And Keon Ellis came off the bench and was awesome too defensively, because that's what he does. And multiple assists, multiple steals in this game. That's hard to do for the limited minutes he plays, but they're solid. They're just a solid team that's not going to be headlined because they're 2-2. But I feel better than their 2-2 rather than the Pels 2-2.
Or the Nuggets.
Or the Nuggets, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Kings or Jazz?
Not a lot.
No.
It looked like the Kings won the practice. They looked like they were just running their stuff and it was working. The ball movement was great. The player movement was great. There must have been 80 baskets for Sacramento on back cuts in this one. So the Jazz, we were talking about, they're probably going to be tanking this year. They're not even waiting, man. They've got a chance to be the worst team in the league here because you have to think eventually maybe somebody calls about Colin Sexton, or like there's no reason really to keep him around. I saw John Collins last night.
Yeah.
Literally forget that guy plays in the league right now, but he had a nice dunk. De'Aaron Fox threw the ball off Walker Kessler's back on an inbounds play.
Yeah. Tricky stuff.
Yeah. I think Kevin Huerter starts because they trust his shooting more than Keon Ellis. He's got a longer rep. They brought in DeRozan. Sabonis, even though he's shooting more, he's not a shooter. You need some space out there.
Yeah.
Ergo, put on Kevin. Game 7 Kevin. Remember when they called him that?
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm. He had one good Game 7.
That'll do it.
Yep.
They've got their rotation is sort of set. I mean, there are 3 guys that come off the bench. It's Monk, obviously, didn't have a great game last night. Keon Ellis will get minutes too, and then their big is like their lone big that plays is Trey Lyles. And those are like sort of the 3 guys that come off the bench for the most part. It turned into a blowout, so a couple other guys got minutes last night, but for the most part, that's the rotation.
Yeah, could it be John Collins? Why not?
Are you saying John Collins to the Kings?
Sure, why not?
Damn, John Collins is in trade rumors again?
He should be. I'm checking the salaries. I don't know if they want 2 years of John at $26 million.
He's still got 2 years left.
Yeah, this year and a player option for next year. It's a long
He is
contract.
absolutely a forgotten NBA player.
Yeah.
He really is. And he had a good game last night. So maybe that helps the trade value if anybody wants him. All right, let's get to some news here. The big news yesterday was Rudy Gay is retiring after 17 NBA seasons. He announced this on the Players Tribune. He had an essay. I thought it was really good. Gay last played in the 22-23 season for the Jazz. He had signed a contract with the Warriors last summer, but he was waived shortly before the season, and he has decided to hang it up. Did you guys get a chance to read his Players Tribune essay?
I have not yet.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was cool. I liked him. He gave a lot of like specific shout outs to players that helped him in his career, and just like basically his buddies too. Like he was glowing praise for DeMar DeRozan, Lowry, Mike Miller. You know, it was sort of fun like that he goes through all these guys. But yeah, it was good. Highly recommend it. Rudy Gay, never an All-Star. He'll probably be
Not
like
a surprise.
He'll probably be on those lists though, right? Like those greatest players to never make an All-Star game. He won't be at the top of it, but if you make the list long enough, Rudy Gay's name will come up.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah, I like that.
Because he had some like good seasons, like scoring 20 per. Yeah.
Sick highlights.
Yep.
Like he is one of the paragons of the basketball player versus hooper debate because basketball or NBA players love Rudy Gay. They swear he could have been one of the best out there. Just never an efficient player, but could get good shots, could get shots at the very least. I'll say that much because a lot of what I was seeing yesterday when Rudy Gay retired was a bunch of his game winners. Like the guy hit a ton of game winners, including, of course, the not this guy one against the Toronto Raptors, which literally a Raptors fan sitting courtside is like, anybody but him! And he goes out and makes the shot. I also had a great quote after he hit a game winner against the Heat, against LeBron, hit it over LeBron. They asked him like what it meant to him to hit a game winner over LeBron, you know, big time player. He said, I don't care if James Naismith was guarding me, which would be scary because he's dead. Cool.
Cool to hit a game winner over.
I don't care if James Naismith was guarding me. Didn't matter.
Nope. Rudy Gay played over 1,100 games, the 71st most ever, so he's like up there on that list. Nearly 18,000 points. He's around 89th, 90th on the all-time list. Had a great stretch where he did average like basically 20 points per game, like over a 8-year stretch. So he was a bucket, and he made like something like $185 million. He had a great career. That's what I'm getting at here. Just
he did.
Never an All-Star. We don't have to have like, is Rudy Gay a Hall of Famer debate? I really don't think we need to do that.
Would you put him in the Hall of Very Good? I would not.
You'd put him in the
Hall of Pretty Good.
Pretty Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to make an All-Star team to make the Very Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never in those conversations at all. best guy to make an All-Star game. He's just not.
To never make an All-Star game. Yeah.
Yes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like the guys, current guys who have retired in the last few years.
You know
Jason
why?
Terry.
You know why I think he isn't? I thought he made one. I'll be honest. I just thought Rudy Gay had like one All-Star game under his belt, like made it as an injury replacement one year, but yeah, didn't.
I mean, he scored a lot.
Yeah.
For those years, he never won a playoff series with Memphis. Memphis snuck out. It won a playoff series when he was injured one season, and then they made a conference finals after he left. So, yeah, never beyond the first round.
How many playoff games did he even play?
Played 7 with Memphis because they went to one 7-game series, and then later on he played. Which team did he play with?
He played very few playoff games. Holy crap! Yeah, he played in 3 series. His entire career. That's wild. And I know Rudy, he even says in the Players Tribune article, he's like, yeah, I know the whole thing. I got traded, team got better. Like, he addresses it. He's like, brought it up. He's like, sort of a weird little quirk that a couple teams improved when they moved him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did. And Memphis, went the farthest they went when he got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, they needed... They need to distribute a little bit on those teams way back when. So that was... Yeah, a blessing for them in a weird way, and they moved on. I'm surprised he gave a lot of love to Lowry.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
What's up with that?
I mean, he started his career with him.
Yeah, I guess they're buds.
Yeah, they're buds.
He was the backup. Lowry was the mad backup on Memphis. He was angry. Why do I got to be the backup here? And then he turned into an incredible player with the Toronto Raptors. Also, a nickname, since you've been talking about Big Rig, Trey, for Paolo Banchero, Big Truck. On Basketball Reference for Rudy Gay.
I've never heard that one.
I don't remember it.
Big Truck.
Big Truck and Truck.
Okay.
Now, the Great Rudini starts all the nicknames. The Great Rudini, Big Truck, and Truck are the only nicknames.
Rudini.
Yeah, that's
I never heard
funny.
any of these. That one's hilarious.
He never had a nickname. He never
Great
really had
Rudini.
a nickname that stuck with him because I haven't heard any of these either. The Great Rudini never heard
Is he a truck guy?
Okay.
Does he drive a truck?
They got to the bottom of it on the Jazz subreddit.
Okay.
Fans may not know that Gay was given the nicknames Truck and Big Truck by former UConn head coach Jim Calhoun due to his resemblance to former Boston Celtics great Reggie Lewis.
Interesting.
Okay.
Doesn't give any more clarity
Okay.
to why
Nah.
they called him Big Truck.
No.
Does Rudy Gay look like Reggie Lewis? I don't know.
Just because he looked like him?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
All right, so
Okay.
Rudy Gay, happy trails. Let's hear. Do you think? Well, first off, do you want to make the case Rudy Gay should go in the Hall of Fame?
Okay,
Go nuts if
come
you
on
want to, or is he in the Hall of Very Good, or just the Hall of Pretty Good?
Yeah, I mean, he can be in the discussion for best player to not make an All-Star.
Yeah, I'm fine
That's a
with
discussion.
that. I think he'll be on those lists.
In the discussion, I think the best player ever who won't make it to an All-Star game, it's going to be Jamal Murray. I mean, that's...
Come on, there's still time, man.
There's still time, I know, but right here, right now, currently, Western Conference is heavy with a lot of players.
Yeah.
Nuggets ain't looking that good. And he fits Jason Terry to a T. A guy who is the second best player on a championship team. You can call him the second best player. Call Jason Terry the second best player. I mean, there's a lot of second best players on that Mavs team, but he came off the bench and hit some huge shots in fourth quarters. Jamal Murray clearly was the second best player on that Nuggets team. But it's similar type of things. But yeah, it's going to be Jamal Murray, I think, unfortunately.
Okay. Let's get to a little rumor here. Per Jake Fischer, the Nets are one of 2 teams as of right now that are reportedly interested in going after Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga in free agency next offseason. Quote, the Nets are going to be a stalking horse for everyone. That's what Fischer said on his Bleacher Report stream. So, yeah, it makes sense that the Nets would want more talent, young talent at that. They're going to have cap space, be one of the few teams with that. And obviously the Warriors did not come to a contract extension with Kuminga. He will hit free agency. Maybe the Nets will be a player. TK, you have any thoughts on this? Is that type of player the Nets should be targeting?
October slop, man.
Yeah.
What happened to the game I love? This guy had his best game of the season.
He did.
Last night. Yes, the noticer noticed that. Noticed he came off the bench when the Warriors were missing 2 of their starters and Kuminga wanted a big deal that they didn't come to an agreement on. Interesting stuff. The Nets are going to have the most cap space next summer, so you're going to hear them in the mix, I think, for basically every free agent who comes up. likely, except for Miles Turner, because they did sign Nick Claxton, so what's the point there? But yeah, the Nets should go for a guy like Kuminga. He's going to be 23 next summer. The Warriors, maybe you can make it too expensive for them, because it just doesn't seem like they think Kuminga fits there. He's a 4, but as is Draymond Green. Draymond wants to play next to a 5, which then makes Kuminga a 3. Kuminga thinks I'm a 3. Steve Kerr says you're best as a 4. It's weird.
Right,
Everything's just a little bit weird there. So my guess is that if you overpay Kuminga, hope he lives up to the deal, you could probably steal him away because the Warriors wouldn't match. And certainly the Nets need more talent, and he's young enough still that you can pitch him as a future guy. You put him and Cam Thomas next to each other, whoo! We're talking 60 points and 2 assists between those two guys.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he would be a stalking horse playing beside Cam Thomas, I'm sure, because Cam Thomas wants the ball. Anyways, I just want to say stalking horse, and the Nets will be a stalking horse for sure. It is that time. Now, the 2025 free agent crop isn't all that amazing.
No.
So yeah, Kuminga could be his time to get paid, and I wonder, who declined that more? Who's a harder decliner between the Warriors and the free agent for Mr. Kuminga? So TBD. But he's going to get paid next year, and the Nets are going to pay somebody. I guess it could be them.
They could easily be the leverage team. Like, I could go to Brooklyn. They got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then they ended up signing Johan Petro again.
Ooh,
Nice
deep
call
cut.
back. Yeah. Here's some other news. Netflix rolling out a new star-studded starting 5 for the 24-25 season. This will be season 2, of course, of Starting 5, second season of the Netflix docuseries. It's going to follow the following. We got Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jaylen Brown. We had a Celtic and Jason Tatum. We're running it back with Jaylen Brown. Did you ever end up watching this, Tass? The Starting 5 of, obviously, the first season?
No, it was too tight with the date for the starting of the regular season.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I know that was Trey's sort of, complaint that it was like butted up right at the start of this season, and you're watching players from last season, and then as soon as the season started, you're like, okay, that's in the past. Who cares? But as I've heard people that enjoyed it, I feel like it's like also not at all for people like us.
That's exactly right.
And
that's why it comes out
casuals.
right before the season starts.
Yeah.
Because for us, it would make most sense to come out in September.
Yes.
There's nothing happening. We could go catch up on what happened last year, see LeBron in a costume. I watched 5 episodes of it. Like, Laura was into it. She's like, ooh, let's check this out. I was like, okay, cool. We can watch this together. And that's similar to what they did with Drive to Survive, right? Like, that comes out right before the F1 season starts to get the people who don't actually follow the sport hyped for the next season starting.
Yep.
We're following the sport nonstop. We have opinions on Liddy Waters III,
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily for us, but there was moments I liked. But then the season started, and I'm like, will I go back and watch the 5 episodes I haven't finished? Probably not.
Yeah. Was there a lot of like parenting? I've heard, them with their kids and their family.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you see LeBron and his family, Tatum and Deuce. You basically get to see Anthony Edwards' daughter be born. Like, you see the first time that he holds his daughter. You're seeing his daughter 2 minutes old. I felt a little bit like I shouldn't be seeing this right now. When I was watching it. That was crazy.
Okay, interesting. I recently had like a cross-country flight with my buddy, your buddy, our buddy Grish, and he watched the whole thing, the whole series from Atlanta to Seattle. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not that long a flight. Our buddy Grish, he's a weird cat, man. He'll just like scrub through shows. So he'd like watch a part, and he'd just like drag his finger like to another part. But he watched, I put that in air quotes, I guess, pieces of all, is it 8 or 10 episodes?
I think it's 10.
Okay. And I was like, well, how was it? It was okay. He basically was picky. He's like, Anthony Edwards stuff I loved. Some of the other ones he didn't care for. I don't think he was a big Sabonis guy. So he was just skipping Sabonis parts. Yeah. So I sort of watched it over his shoulder a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that dunk. That was cool.
Maybe it was when the baby came out and he said, no, I gotta skip this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just modern people, man. We're skipping. We're just bypassing a lot of stuff. Even in articles, I'll just drop a few paragraphs here. Just move along.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, it's
but
odd.
I'm sure other people do it. I'm sure he's not the only one. But can you say you watched a show if you do it that way? Because to me, that's like reading a book, but like skipping chapters. I just jump ahead to another part. Maybe read a little bit. Don't jump ahead again, and then finish the book.
Interesting.
But did you really read the book? I don't know. I say no.
It's kind of like if you were to watch Shawshank Redemption just by catching it when it was on TV. You're like, 10 minutes? It all adds up to 2.5 hours. I've seen it, but have I? He probably knows everything that happens.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, hey, the Celtics won.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. He did know. Spoiler alert, he knew everything that was going to happen before it started.
Yeah, true,
so
true,
why do you
true.
pay attention? Really makes you think.
I hope that they do air it a little bit earlier in the
A
summer.
little bit earlier would help.
I
Yeah.
think it may happen because there's no Olympics. There isn't a lot of NBA stuff happening. There's less NBA stuff.
Isn't there an
happening.
Olympic show coming? Am I crazy?
There is some sort of documentary about the gold medal team, for sure. Yep.
That'd be cool.
A year after?
Well, at least it went coolly. We had some cool moments, obviously, with
about
LeBron
that.
and Curry. So
I don't know if they need to release it that late just because of all the editing, but there's no reason.
Oh, I know what I was
Drop it a little bit earlier.
Are you
for
excited
everybody.
about this cast? Or no opinion?
Okay,
So you're not excited?
Jalen.
Yeah, sounds like you're not excited.
I'm trying to
It's
find
Harden,
the most exciting.
Halliburton, it's Shea, it's Jalen Brown, and who's the Kevin Durant.
Yep.
Yeah. Could be all right.
This guy is
Hey, what
pumped.
do you got?
This
What do
guy
you
is
got?
fucking pumped.
It all depends
For
on the
season
edit.
2 of
It all
Star-
depends on the
He
edit.
didn't watch the first season.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't excited for the first
I'm
season. We got LeBron in it.
I'm asking about
Yeah,
the
that's true.
characters here, the people they've picked. Are you excited?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'm excited if James Harden goes to the club. That would be the most exciting part to me.
yeah,
Like,
a little
let's see what
baby.
he's really like away from the basketball court. I wonder how much of that we'll get.
Listen, I'm happy to watch it. I'm happy to watch the first season because I'm actually more happy to see the parenting parts. I know all the basketball
Yeah,
parts.
you'd love it.
Yeah, and how he dealt with Bronny at USC and his cardiac issue, that whole thing. Yes, happy to watch that. Happy to watch it a little bit earlier in the season.
Okay.
I mean, I know what happened in 23-24.
Yeah, but you'll know what happens in 24-25 when this one comes out.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just take the whole season off.
That's the way to do it, man.
Don't
To watch
podcast
it without
all season.
knowing, that'd be
Yeah.
exciting.
That'd be very exciting. Yeah.
Come on. We need stuff to watch in the off season. That's when people are all online saying, I need something. Well, The Last Dance was released.
We had
What part?
nothing.
Oh, yeah.
We had nothing happening. There was so little going on in the world that they said, ESPN, you can't wait another month.
Yeah.
Put
Right.
out The Last Dance.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And everybody watched it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do it earlier when nobody has any basketball to watch.
Okay. And we knew how that went as well. You're right. But that was great. That was
Oh,
good.
yeah.
20
that
years
was
passed,
awesome.
and we learned things we didn't know.
Yeah, that's true,
I
that's true.
thought. But yeah, this it ain't the same. It just ain't.
It's just like we said it. It's not for us.
It's not for us.
That's why I'm into Drive to Survive, because I'm not like following the F1 season all that closely.
Interesting. I started following F1 more closely and liked Drive to Survive less.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that
Like
there's
the
a
more
correlation.
the more you care
Totally.
about the sport, the less you care about the documentary.
100% agree. 100%
Look at Tess. He's not even gonna watch it. he might watch the 23-24 one next summer.
Hey, I loved watching. I loved watching Drive. What's it called?
You're the worst at selling a show, man. I loved watching.
I don't need to sell that show. Everybody watched it. F1 is popular in America because of that.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
it turned out F1 sucked because it's a. Well, actually, this season's a little bit better. I shouldn't say that.
It's
Yeah,
close.
Drive.
It's
now.
closer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
closer.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
closer. Okay. Anyway, let's get
yeah.
to pick'em result. Not pick'em results. Our game tonight is what I wanted to say, because we got a nice battle going on here. Trey's 2-4, so he's currently in last place. But Tass and I are 3-3, and Esh is 4-2. Tonight's game task important here.
It is.
For the standings. Where are we
Pick
going?
them to survive. It's Atlanta at Washington. Now, they just did this. And
Yes, they did.
Washington took care of the Hawks. So the Hawks are 3.5-point favorites here as they do it one more time in Washington this time. First game was in Atlanta.
Right, right.
Now, most of us feel that the Hawks will take care of business.
Bouncing back.
Will win by 4 or more, while Trey thinks the Wiz will lose by 3 or less or win.
Maybe the Wiz have the Hawks number. You saw it in person. This guy saw something.
Guess who was last in the dock here? I got screwed. I'm
Yeah.
out of rhythm here. We took a year off from Pick'em, so now when I copy the doc into my own notes, I don't get to pick 'em until the end. I'm like,
Oh, no.
A lot of question marks next to my name. I go in, everybody else has picked Atlanta. The line is 3.5 points. Much too small. This
It
line
is
should be
so
like
small.
6.5, maybe 8.5.
So you're sort of, you're forced into taking the Wizards, but you think
I
the
wasn't
Hawks
gonna
are
put
going to win.
4 Hawks logos on the bottom. That would
Yeah.
look ridiculous.
Right, and you got to make up a game here, too. Yeah, you're in a tough spot.
We could have changed the game. I'm way too empathetic for people, so I knew that it would be a little crappy for you if all 3 had picked the Hawks, and I thought, okay, maybe we can change it. I actually looked, because JD creates these graphics. I saw where JD was. Where was he? Because we see in the breakdown, in the rundown of this show, I see where JD is literally putting things into his program to see where he is. Oh, is he already down there? You were literally had that graphic highlighted, so you were just doing it. You were doing it then and there. Like, okay, it's 7 a.m. or whatever it is. Does he deserve a call? Does he deserve a slack right here, right now? I said, nah. Just let it roll, baby. Because you could win, Trey. You could easily.
This is the Hawks we're talking about. I have very little confidence in them, let alone covering. I mean, you do have some points to play with, so make it exciting. Let's go, Wiz. Hopefully they cover, and then we'd have 3 of us tied 3 and 4 going into the last night. Hey, that'd be exciting stuff. Exciting times.
Oh man, exciting.
Otherwise, it's a
times.
wrap, I guess, if the Hawks cover tonight. We'll have a pickle man here.
The other game I thought
week.
after the Warriors took care of the Pelicans would be redo of Warriors and Pelicans playing again back to back, both in Golden State. Warriors favored by 2.5. I don't know where everybody's picking there, or would it be the same scenario? We're all picking the Pelicans. They can't lose 2 in a row.
Interesting. I think I would have taken the Warriors in that one.
Maybe we could redo it.
No.
Can we just retape this show?
We honestly, it feels like we should. I don't think we gave you a quality show here today, if I'm being honest. Didn't have a ton to work with. That's okay. We got 11 games on tonight, boys. We're going to bounce back tomorrow.
I'd rather watch this show than Starting 5 Season 2.
Hell yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, we have a ton of games on, including that Hawks-Wizards game, with a lot on the line when it comes to a man wearing a pickle costume, so make sure you check that out. We're here at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning to break it all down. Get your questions in. NoDunks@theathletic.com. You can email them in. You can drop them in the YouTube comments. You can tweet them in at NoDunksInc. That's INC on Twitter/X. However you want. At some point, we'll be hitting the beach, so get those cues in. Before we go, JD, I think you have a photo. I have to ask our guy TK. Here's Trey dressed as the Meat Man, and correct me if I'm wrong, Trey. You showed up at last night's pickup run. I unfortunately couldn't make it last night, but did you play as Meat Man?
I warmed up as Meat Man, but as you're seeing here, the full fingers, not great for handling a basketball, but also the full face. Can't really see through it.
Yeah.
I could see the outline of the backboard. It's got like the white stripe around it, so I would just aim for like the bottom middle of that. Made a couple. I was feeling good about that, but pretty quickly my armpits were getting irritated.
Oh, the chafing.
Yeah, it was really getting up in there. But just fun to show up. So I got another pickup run Friday. I'll probably do it again.
Oh, wow.
Maybe take the pickle. Who knows? I could play in the pickle.
You could play in the pickle. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Because you got full arm movement.
Full arm movement. Yeah, full hand usage.
It's like the cutout of the face. You're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Friday run. We'll see more photos.
Hey, if the Hawks win by 4 or more points tonight, I'm hooping in Friday in a pickle costume.
Okay. Wow. Even more on the line.
I gotta do everything for an entire week wearing a pickle costume.
Wow.
Even away from the show.
I thought the only rule we said was you had to drive for some reason.
Nope.
And you're gonna do the entire week in
pickle, man. Sleep in a pickle.
Fair enough.
Bathe in a pickle.
Tass is gonna be pumped, like we said. So
Yeah, I do love pickles.
All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. What a weird show. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, this is serious. Onyeka Okongwu, as well as Bogdan Bogdanovic, questionable for tonight, so you never know.
Bogey's out a month.
Is he out a month?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Krejci.
He's going to be out for a long time.
Either,
It's Veet time, baby.
No, he's hurt.
He's hurt too.
He's also hurt. He got hit in the Dickens and missed the second half of the game.
You don't think he'll play tonight?
He's got a right adductor strain, they called it,
Damn. But it's a Dickens.
I couldn't tell what he was grabbing. He wasn't wearing the Meat Man costume. I couldn't totally see if he was grabbing the muscle or the muscle.
All right. Embrace the day, people.